Hi friends, this is Ronald. Today's session is about disk management. Introduction of disk management. So disk management is all about how to manage your hard disk. It may be a 100 GB hard disk or it may be a 1 TB hard disk. How to manage the disk now? By creating partitions according to your data. So how data you want to store and how you want to put security for the data. We also have file systems, NTFS, FAT file system. Which file system should be used for providing a security for your data? Disk management, two types are there. One is basic disk, another one is dynamic disk. Basic disk. If you are working with basic disk, it supports single hard disk. That means only one hard disk you can use. Whatever data, say for example, the hard disk is 100 GB. You can have your data in 100 GB in single hard disk, single storage device. If this disk is failure, that's all gone. You don't have backup for this. Whereas dynamic disk, in this dynamic disk, it supports up to 32 hard disk, and you should use only server systems here, server OS. Here comes like RAID configuration. We'll be discussing in future classes. RAID configuration will come here. But here, as of now, today's session will discuss about only basic disk. In basic disk, we can create partitions. There are two types of partitions are there. One is primary partition, another one is extended partition. Primary partition. So this is mainly for installation of operating system, where you can install any operating system, any OS. It could be Windows, it could be Linux. Say for example Windows 10 or Windows 8, any OS or 2012 server. Primary partition mainly for OS. So we can go for maximum is 4 partition it supports. Maximum 4 partitions you can create in your hard disk. Inside that, say for example, this is the hard disk. Alright, so let's divide into 4 partitions. So it is 100 GB. So what I will do, first thing I'll go with C drive. Here I'll install operating system, and this capacity I'll give like 20 GB. This is my primary partition. This is also I'll make primary partition. The drive is D drive. This is I'll give like some another 20 GB. Here I'll be keeping my personal data. Remember, you should not keep any data on C drive, because tomorrow if the system get crashed or disaster happen to the system, you cannot recover the data easily from the C drive, not even from desktop. So make sure that you're keeping your data on D drive other than the OS drive. Simple. If the OS is in C drive, just go to D drive. Keep the data here. So two primary partitions. We can have another primary partitions also. This is one E drive. I'll give you some 10 GB. Remaining whatever space is left over, this is completely called as extended partition. One is for complete for extended. In this, how much space left now? We can say 20, 20 plus 40 plus 10 is 50. So here is 50 GB space is left here now. This I can use for creating logical drives. Creating logical drives. So partition I'm creating. If you want more partitions, if you're happy with two partitions, then well and good. If you want more partitions in your disk, then go for extended partition, where it supports more number of partitions. That's logical drives will come. Inside one partition, you are creating number of logical drives like this. These are logical drives. Number of logical drives you are creating inside the external partitions. Based on the size again. Your size is 100 GB, 50 GB is left, 50 GB you can go for creating the logical drives. In these days, in Windows 8 and Windows 10 or 2012 server onwards, minimum it's take by default is taking two primary partitions and one is going for extended. But way back in XP, Windows 7, it's creating four partitions of primary only at the time of OS installation. But Windows 8 and 10 and 12 onwards, they change it. They made only two primary, one extended partitions. So primary partition is mainly for installing operating system. Extended, if you want more number of drives, then you can go and create the logical drives. I'll show you now how to create the partitions. By default, so I'll be having only one partition. And also I have only one drive. Say for example, now my disk is like this. This is C drive and it's totally, say for example, 100 GB. It's only one drive now. Inside this, my OS also installed. In C drive, OS is there, and I have to keep my data in C drive only. So there is no other drive. So in this case now, what to do? You have an option called shrink volume. Shrink volume. So shrink volume, what it will do? It will shrink the space. It will take up the space which is not required for the operating system. Say for example, OS required only 20 GB now. Remaining 80 GB space it will give for creating, it will give as an unallocated space. By using that space, you can create logical drives or primary again logical drives you can create. So logical drives, why? Because you want to keep your data in separate. Say for example, E drive you want to keep your personal pictures. F drive you want to keep your data, HR data, IT data. So these are the data, different projects you want to keep in different drives. So in that situation, you can go for multiple drives using extended partition. All right. Let's see the practical now. So I'll take you to practical session in Windows 8 operating system. So probably I have one partition. Let me take you to computer configuration. Right click on computer. You can see manage there. Here you can see these are first is system, about system tools, task scheduler, event viewer for facing any problem, any issues in your system. You can check through event viewer. Shared folders, it will display all the shared folders. Local user, we will discuss about local user computers, shared folders. So now, next we'll move to now disk management. So as I said, so I have it is basic disk now. I have only one disk and only one partition, which is C drive. It comes with 126 GB. So which is not really required now. So let me shrink now. Right click on C drive, shrink volume. So enter the amount of space to shrink in MC. Now you can see it's saying now 64 GB is available, which is not required for the operating system drive. Let me take it out some 40 GB. 40,000, I'm taking it out now. See, so we got 40 GB unallocated. As I said, XP will ask you whether you want primary partition, extended partition. But from Windows 7 onwards, automatically it will create primary partition and also extended. And these are span volume, strip volume, mirror volume, RAID configuration comes in dynamic disk. So that we'll discuss in your future session. I'll explain about RAID configuration and all. Excuse me. So let's create simple volume. So I'll go with some 5 GB. So it's asking here, first one is assign the following drive letter. That means you want to assign the drive letter. So you can choose any one. Even B you can choose. B also open now. E drive by default it's taking E drive because CD already created. Default this is for the DVD disk. And mount drive. So I'll explain about mount drive also. Then do not assign. Suppose if you want to create a drive but without a drive letter. This is also possible. I'll show all these three steps now. Let me go with the first one. And as I said, file system. So there are two types of file systems, NTFS and FAT. NTFS stands for New Technology File System. So as I said, the two types of file systems are there. One is NTFS, the other one is FAT. FAT. NTFS is New Technology. New Technology File System. FS is file system. So NTFS provide more security. Security in the sense like read write permission, delete permissions. So these options available only in NTFS file system. If you have a FAT file system, does not provide any security. FAT is file allocation table. FAT 16, FAT 32 will be there. And the storage capacity of FAT is less than 50 GB. So less than 50 GB. When it comes to NTFS, it's more than 50 GB storage capacity. NTFS for servers and all, it by default you take NTFS only file system because servers need a protection, a security is required. NTFS provides security. FAT does not provide any security for your data. Like as I mentioned, like read permissions, write permissions, delete permissions, modify permissions, deny access. All these stuffs you can do only in NTFS file system. You cannot implement all these settings using FAT. All right. So here I'm using NTFS file system. I can use it now FAT. Later on I can format to NTFS also. So I'll perform quick format because nothing is there. It's a new partition. So let me use a quick format. Suppose by chance you are formatting a disk which contains a virus. That time you need to format low level format, not quick format. If you're using quick format, only the upper part of hard disk will be cleared, not inside everything. The block that is called LBA, logical block address. It will not clear every block if you're using a quick format. Quick format, it will complete within a minute. Whereas if you choose a normal format, it will take minimum 10 to 50, 10 to 20 minutes of time. Again, based on the storage of your disk. It is done. You can see here. So we got two partitions now, C and E. D, as I said already, it is a DVD disk. Primary partition. So two primary partitions are there. Let me get one more. This time I'll take some 10 GB. Say two like primary partitions. The one is in green. It says it is in extended partition. Inside that we got logical drive. Inside that we got logical drive. So it's all depends upon how much size you want to keep, how much size you want to configure for your drive. 2 GB, 10 GB, or 40 GB. And after configuring that, so whether you want to provide security or not, that I will decide again. By default, if it is NTFS not provide security, you have to implement the security settings. Let's check the drives now. Computer option, you can see here we got two, E and F. One is 5 GB, other one is 10 GB. So here you can see inside this nothing is there. Let me create some folder. Right. So just check it out whether the file system is NTFS or FAT. See the file system, it says it is NTFS. Free space is 4 GB. The total disk is free space is 4.8. Nothing is there actually. And I just said about security. Here comes like read permissions, write permissions, deny access permissions. So this I'll explain the next section. Next session, like how to configure. The next session we'll discuss about file and security permissions. So here you can already configure 5 GB, right? So let me format this in NTFS. Let's see the same features are available. Before that, let me check one more time. Security is there, quota is there. This quota you can configure. So we saw security is there, quota is there, right? Let me format this using FAT, right? Let's see the difference now. See, tools is there, but there's no security. There's no option called security and disk quota. Security is very important part, which is not available. Sometimes what happen if you are having a flash drive, a pen drive with 16 GB, but the file system is in FAT, even though it is 16 GB disk flash drive, it will show you only 4 GB is usable. So make sure that whether the file system is NTFS or FAT. If it is FAT, please change it to NTFS. Again, I want to change it to NTFS. I don't like FAT because there is no security. See, NTFS is default. Right, so we created partitions, right? Next I'll show you like how to configure a mount to drive. Mount drive is the use of mount drive is you're creating a drive inside a drive. Already there is a drive, and we are going to create one more drive for security purpose. I have already E drive is there, which is say some 10 GB, right? Inside this I got some data, all my pictures, everything is available here. The use of mount to drive. Mount drive. So for example, you finish all the drive letters from C to or D to Z. Everything is completed. You use those partitions, all the drives. In that case also you can use mount drive. But normally nobody use that much drives. They'll prefer to go with only 3 or 4 drives they'll use. Letters they'll go for C, D, E, F. Right? The use of mount drive is I have 10 GB drive. Inside this, I'll create another 5 GB or another 2 GB mount drive. I'm going to mount my drive to existing drive. Inside this, I'll keep my personal, or let's say I'm keeping all my project, not personal pictures but project, right? So this drive is falling, is connected, right? It is connected to E drive. So accidentally if someone deleted this drive or someone formatted E drive, even formatted, your data will be safe in mount to drive. You are just having a connection with E drive. It doesn't matter. Even the E drive got formatted also, nothing will happen to your projects. It will show that inside E drive nothing is there after formatting it. But the drive is available without a drive letter. Only thing you need to connect this using a drive letter, or you can go for another mount drive. So I can connect this to again K drive. I can get my data back. That is the advantage of mount to drive. Let me show you this practically. So here is free space is there, right? And it supports only NTFS file system. Again, it will not support FAT. Next, so we'll go with 2 GB. This time mount to drive. Mount in the following empty NTFS folder. So I'll choose E drive. I'm keeping the name as a data. See, 2 GB got created, but this drive doesn't have any drive letter. Alright, so we'll check whether the mount drive got created successfully or not. In E drive, yes, data 2 GB, right? You can open this one. You can keep some data. Let's say projects. Inside that, you can keep some files. Test, test my data. So it is important, quite important. So I don't want to lose this one. Even though the main drive got formatted, I want my data to be safe. So let me format this one. Accidentally it happened. You can see here data gone. As I said, through Mount Drive, your data is safe. Our 2 GB drive is available. Only thing I need to connect it back. So right click on my new volume, which is a healthy, but that does not contain any drive letter. You can do one thing, you can add a drive letter, or you can connect to again a mount drive. It's up to you. If you want to go with mount drive, you can go with mount drive or drive letter, but your data is safe. So let me select the change drive letter and path. So if I add a drive letter, I can see my data. Let me add drive letter, anything. Let me add R drive. See your data, projects inside the test. So this is the advantage of mount to drive. I hope this one is clear, mount drive. Next thing is, so we'll see how to hide and unhide the drive. So for example, you have a lot of information on F drive or E drive, whatever drive. So you can see here. So E drive, I'll keep some data. Uh, data HR, or you can say HR data, right? And also personal data, which you don't want other to come and open this disk. Often your friend is coming and accessing this drive which you are not liking. What you can do, simply you cannot deny access. You don't want the drive to appear when you try to open my computer. So what we can do, just simply go to the drive which you want to hide, E drive, right? Right click on E drive, change drive letter and path. Excuse me. You can see an option called remove. I am just removing a drive letter so that the drive will not appear on my computer. That's simple. Some programs that rely on drive letters may not run correctly. Are you sure that you want to remove? Yes. There is no E drive. Remember, I created some folders, HR data and personal data, right? So like this, it will not appear. Again, if you want to bring it back, you should remember the drive, the size which you unhide, which you make it hidden. Again, change drive letter and path, add. You can connect with the same drive, or you can also assign a different drive later. And go in the same E drive. Here we go. E drive. Your data. Excuse me. This is what hiding and unhiding drive. So in this session, we discussed about types of disk management, types of partitions, primary partition, extended partition, logical drives, file system, NTFS and FAT, mount to drive, hiding and unhiding the drives. Hope this session is useful for you. Thanks for watching.